Hi everybody, Ali Akbarian here, your resident road safety expert from Mobility Engineering, back again for another Q&A session. As we always say, make sure you send in the questions. Thank you very much for the question that's been sent today. And also, thanks Erica, we have a subscribe pillow here, so please hit the button that looks a bit like this, down there somewhere, and subscribe to our channel. We're trying to get to about 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully we can get there with your support. And basically see all the great information that we're passing on, and away we go. So today's question comes in from Sharon, who's an occupational therapist. We love our occupational therapist questions. They're the best ones around. And Sharon says, I have a client who recently got a new wheelchair, and we're concerned about headspace. So he's got a wheelchair accessible vehicle, and he's got a new wheelchair which has changed his way he sits and his heights and so on. And when he goes in there, he sent us a couple of photos, which I won't show today, about what do we think about it. Now, in terms of that, I don't really even need to look at the photos too much anyway, but I did, and I'll give you some feedback on what we think. But in general, I can give you some guidelines and some rough tips on what you need to do and how you need to look at this and how you need to approach it. Now, in general, there is actually no hard and fast rules around headspace. As I've said before, this area of wheelchair occupants and wheelchair restraints is a bit of a grey area. There's a few kind of political issues around it, which we don't want to get into. It's not really relevant, but there's no rules and regulations around it. So what we do is we base it on other rules that we see in the industry, and we give really strong recommendations around that. Now, one of the things around headspace, what we tend to go for as a guide is the absolute minimum. So you really don't want any less than this, is a 10 centimeters rule. So that's around about the size of my hand here. So if I put my hand here and there's that space between my head and my roof of my vehicle, then I'm okay. I want more space than that, by the way. That is the absolute minimum. That is you do not want to go any less than that because it's dangerous. Even that's kind of borderline. You want to be kind of aiming for 15 to 20 centimeters around there. But 10 centimeters is the rule that we came up with based on other regulations we've seen in racing car industry and other parts of industry as well. So that's one thing that I guess that answers that question for this particular person. But in general, and for the other people watching, there is things that you need to consider around that. So when you are looking for one of these vehicles, wheelchair vehicle, vans and so on, I understand that in some cases, some of these vehicles can be difficult to drive, they're a bit of a pain, but we do need to look at that occupant, and we need to look at not just where they're sitting right now and how much space they've got right now, but we also need to forward think and forward plan. In our industry, what we see a lot of is people that fail to forward think and forward plan, and they end up spending so much more money, having so many more issues, or putting themselves at risk when they get the wrong product or the wrong thing. So a couple of little tips to think about in terms of forward planning is, first of all, are we looking at a child? Is the child going to grow? What are their symptoms and what are their expected rate of growth? If it's going to be a fair bit of growth, then we don't want that head 10 centimeters now. We want quite a lot more than that because we want to work towards that 10 centimeters. So we need a lot more space, and we need a lot bigger vehicle, unless we can afford to get a smaller vehicle and then upgrade to a bigger one down the track. The other thing is also look at conditions progressing and wheelchairs changing. So in this case, I'm not sure if this was a planned thing or not, but in general, if we are going to be getting a new wheelchair down the track, is that wheelchair going to have to be higher? Is it going to be lower? What's it going to do to my headspace and my seated height and so on? So those are the little things to look at, and there's a couple of other things that we've come across to think about, which is things like, is this car a new car or a second-hand car? Is it going to last me the distance and so on? So looking at those general things will help you to make the right decision. But as I said, in terms of having the right vehicle and having the right sort of selection and space. But as I said, in general, do not go above that 10 centimeter rule. This is the absolute minimum. If I have less space than this, I'm in a pretty dangerous situation. If I have a rollover, if I have a knock, even if I just go off a really big bump pretty fast, you could lift up there and hit your head on the roof and cause some pretty serious damage to a very sensitive part of your body. So yeah, that's basically it. Hopefully that answers your questions. As we said, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that button that's down there. And as I said, please send us any questions you've got. Email, Facebook, anything, YouTube, put a comment down there. We'll find it and we'll answer the question. We'll put it up online. And thanks very much, and thanks for listening.